Alright, I hope everyone had a great holiday weekend. I myself had an interesting conversation with my father this past Sunday, and he brought up a Bible verse, as he always tends to do, but this time through synchronicity I found it very interesting. He had quoted Proverbs 10:24, and when I heard it I'm like, oh, I know what that means. What you think about, you bring about. And Proverbs 10:24 says, what the wicked dread will overtake them, what the righteous desire will be granted. And that's the NIV version, New International Version. But let's take a look at some other versions. New Living Translation. The fears of the wicked will be fulfilled, the hopes of the godly will be granted. American Standard Version. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, and the desire of the righteous shall be granted. King James. The fear of the wicked, it shall come upon him, but the desire of the righteous shall be granted. And so I told him, I know what that is. That's what you think about, you bring about. What you are focusing on is what you are going to get. And of course he said, well, it's the righteous that get the good things, that gets what they desire. And I said, well, what are the characteristics of the righteous? Well, one, they have absolute faith, absolute certainty that everything's going to work out. Number two, they're not in fear. Now, scientists have proven there's only two base emotions, love and fear, and all other emotions are derivative of those. And so the righteous aren't in fear, but they're also, number three, not focused on the negative. They focus on the positive. You know, just saying the wicked and the righteous is a polarity thing. It's giving polarity to what it's actually saying, which is what you think about, you bring about. I mean, you can be the best Christian you can be, go to church every Sunday, always tithe, read the Bible every day, but if you sit there and dwell upon what you fear, that's what you're going to get. I mean, do you need to be wicked before you bring your fears about? Or is that just part of being wicked? Dwelling upon fears and negativity and bringing that about into the real world, creating negative circumstances. In any case, I found it interesting because that's the biblical way of saying what you think about, you bring about. And it's absolutely true. This is why you have to guard the gates of your mind. Negative people get negative results. I can't even count the times where what I didn't want to happen is what ended up happening. And now that I'm a magician, I have to be even more cautious and not allow my mind to dwell on negative things, as it's even far easier to bring them about now. This is why the mental training is so important. You know, people want to be magicians, but it's careful what you wish for if you don't get that mental training down and guard the gates of your mind. Woe be to the would-be magician who is unable to keep himself from dwelling on fear and focusing on negativity. Hi, I've noticed that whenever I'm thinking of someone, they call me. That's cool, but what if I don't want to connect to them, but still think of them? How does that work? It doesn't. If you don't want them to call you, stop thinking about them. What you think about, you bring about. Where attention goes, energy flows. See, we're all connected through the subconscious mind. And when you sit there and think of someone, you are opening an energetic channel to them. They're calling you because you called them first. They're just returning your call. It's either that or you're a very skilled psychic, because there is debate on whether or not you are actually creating these things to happen through your thoughts, or you're just picking them up right before they happen. And in my experience, it's a little bit of both, and they're very, very similar, and it's very difficult to tell the difference between the two. There are times that things had already happened, but I didn't know about them yet, but still picked up on them before I was told. But there are some things that hadn't happened yet, and I still picked up on them before they did. Or I created it. And I call that my psychic defense, kind of a running joke between me and my girlfriend, when I'll say something and she's like, well, don't say that, and then it would happen. And of course she's like, see what you did? And I'm like, well, look, did I create that to happen, or did I pick up on it just before it did happen? Because there's no real proof that I actually caused it. But, you know, at the same time, as I go over in Secrets of Wealth, it's my reality, my responsibility, regardless. And I use that psychic defense as a joke. But they are very, very similar, and they're very difficult to tell apart. I tend to believe that the ones that just pop into your head through images or things you just happen to blurt out all of a sudden are more on the psychic end and prediction than causing it to happen. It was a few weeks back, and my girlfriend asked me, guess what my boss brought me back from Alaska? And immediately I had this image pop into my head, and I blurted out, moose poop. And she said, yeah, it was in a card. How did you know? And I'm like, that's what I do. And see, it already had happened. But I picked up on it. I mean, of all the things that just come out of my mouth and pop into my mind. But it was correct. And that happens all the time. But so do the things that haven't happened yet. So am I creating them, or am I just picking up on them? In either case, I still guard the gates of my mind to the best of my ability. I focus upon the positive. I do not entertain fear, worry, doubt, and any other negative thoughts that may enter my mind. Reject, deny, and banish them. For these are the things that you cannot afford while walking this path. And you're not going to change your entire thought patterns overnight. It's going to take consistent practice and doing the mental exercises that I have given you, such as banish, deny, and reject all negative thoughts that enter your mind, guarding it to the best of your ability. It does get easier. After a while, the negative thoughts don't seem to even bother anymore, not nearly with the frequency that they once did. But still, every now and again, one will show up, and you have to be vigilant. What you think about, you bring about, and where attention goes, energy flows. So there was enough interesting synchronicities that have been happening with that got me to feel that I should do a video on it. So there you go. I've been getting a steady flood of messages, and so I should probably get on the next mailbag here shortly. And with that, I will see you next time. Take care.